Alright, Blade HQ, we're here today to make us a bow drill. So Jake, with Wild Jakes, is going to help me assemble one and get some fire.
Alright, well, let's get started. Just like that. Wow, that's sharp. That works. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and measure this out, and I'm gonna start trimming it up so that it'll be a functional bow. This wood is about 2 fingers wide. Like I said, that's gonna make a pretty stout, stiff bow, but because it's green, once we put some torque in it, it's gonna flex really well. This knife is a Buck River fixed blade knife. It looks like it's going to be really good for the type of survival stuff that we want to do with it. It's got a really thick back so that we can use it for batoning, and it's got a really nice blade, a really nice comfortable handle, and let's see how well it cuts. Okay, so this bow was the length of my arm. Now what I want to do is I want to cut some cord that's going to be twice the length of my arm. I'm going to wrap this in our groove, and I'm going to wrap it twice. Well, one full wrap all the way around like that. On the second wrap, I'm going to actually tie this with a double half hitch. I've got that tied there, and then I'm going to find where the natural curve in the bow is. I'm gonna kind of turn this and look to see where I can get a spot that's gonna be kind of straight. Now, I'm gonna need a spindle to actually tighten this up to see how tight I want it. But before I do that, we're gonna have to make one. So we'll get on that next. Okay, cottonwood makes really good spindles and really good fireboard. So we're going to use cottonwood to make a spindle. And when we make a spindle, we want to make it about the width of our thumb. So our bow was 2 fingers wide. Our spindle is going to be the width of our thumb. Now, one side we're going to want a really sharp long point. The other side we're going to want a really sharp narrow point at first. It's got a lot of gouges in it, but it's actually very straight. So we've got a long end and a short end, and we're gonna spin that and get her going here. Let's make a fireboard.
All right, done. Pull apart. Femoral artery. Yeah.
All right, so we've got 2 pieces here. We're going to use the thicker one for our hand socket, and we're going to use the thinner one for our fireboard. All right, Blade HQ, we're going to switch over to the little Gerber hatchet here. And that way we can speed things along because it's getting dark, and one of the things about fire by friction is you got to do it while it's light so you can see what's going on. The board is 1/2 inch thick, and we're going to get this going. So now when I pull this tight, I'm going to pull it tight so that the spindle is at an angle like this, almost parallel to the bow, but not quite, maybe 20 degrees or so. But that's going to mark over here where I need to put the cord so that I can tie it off. Now, this rope is secure on both sides, and notice that the bow is really loose. When I put this in and I wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, this third one I'm going to have to torque the bow, and it's going to pull tight, which this is one reason why we wanted a green piece of wood for our bow. Now my form is important. If I don't use the right form, then I'm not going to get a fire. So I'm going to be up on this back leg. I'm going to put the arch of my foot where the spindle is going to go on the fireboard. I'm going to take my arm, wrap it around my knee, and then this hook in my wrist, I'm going to hook against my shin so that I can keep the spindle from wobbling. Now, I'm going to use my upper body to lean into the spindle so I can get weight without using my muscles. Okay, if you have a fairly straight spindle, it will sound smooth when you do this. If you don't, it will wobble and it will not do well. Okay. Alright, so now we need to take our fireboard and make a notch in there. Okay, so I've cut a notch into the center of my hole here that I've burned in with. This notch is very, very important. If it's too big, then it'll take too much dust to actually get a fire. If it's too small, then it'll gather up around the top and it's harder to get an ember up there. So we want the dust to cascade through this notch and gather here in front of it and actually light. Now, I've put a piece of wood here to catch this ember as it falls, all right, so that I can take it from there and then dump it into our nest over here. Okay, so I'm gonna go at a moderate pace so that I can get that dust to fall down into that notch, because if I try to go fast right now, I'm wasting all my energy. So what I want to do is just get a steady rhythm, get that ash built up in that notch, and give that coal a place to form. Once I see a bunch of ash in that notch, then I can go faster and push a little harder. And when the smoke starts coming from the ash, that's when I stop. But I'd be very careful when I do that not to knock out the coal. Okay, I've got a bunch of ash there. So now I'm going to go a little faster, push a little harder. Very carefully move that away so it doesn't kick it out. Now I'm going to take this, push this out, and there's my ember. And give it a little bit of air. I'm not going to blow on it, I'm just going to wave some oxygen into it, let it smolder and compact. I don't want to blow it out, I just want to get it ready. And there's our ember, right there.
Magic!
Okay, so now we've got our ember. Now we need to take this, very carefully transport it to our nest that we already have made. If we have to make a nest at this point, then we've just wasted a whole lot of time. I'm going to put it in there and cup this around the nest around this ember, so that the ember's touching everything in the nest. I'm going to hold it up away from me so I can breathe. Tyler, you made a great nest.
Outstanding. I did something right.
There we go, there's our fire.
That's awesome. That is an awesome feeling. It's my first fire ever. It's like me walking for the first time.
I would feel that way.
Yeah, oh, everybody does. I tell you what, all my students, I can tell when they get it for the first time.
That's actually really freaking awesome.
There you go.